everybody, and welcome back.
Yeah,
It's been a few weeks since we've been here, so thanks for keeping up with us. I'm Jay, and this is Staying Sane with Jay and my partner in crime, Hussein. So thanks. Apologize for being off the last few weeks. We were both traveling, and then there's been some issues with electrical storms and signals. So we are back
and the
this week.
earthquake in your
And
town. How
yeah,
was that?
yeah, didn't. I was in here when it happened, so I was out of town. So that was one of the
Okay.
weeks I was traveling. So
Hmm.
yeah. So thanks everybody for keeping up with us. So anyway, so um, it's been suggested by some of our viewers. I'd like to see you and I disagree a little more often. So in the last week, it came out that not only did Israeli soldiers kill 15 Palestinian medics, bury their bodies in ambulances in the desert, and then lie about it. And then the video footage came out, and then suddenly Israel backpedaled and said, "Oh yeah, our previous denial was obviously mistaken." So can I get you to admit that Israel has committed a war crime here, firing, killing, and destroying the evidence of 15 medics?
Of course. Yeah, I saw the news, and that was almost paramedics getting killed, ambulances ambushed, and they were attacked. And in the first instance, the report was that they were not having the lights on, and they were not identified as ambulance, and they were transporting the terrorists. That was the report, or that was the clarification that was given by IDF in the beginning. And later on, when there came out a visual, probably recorded by one of the paramedics, and after that, I could see some other news reports coming out that IDF uh, taking the accountability, and they were saying that there will be a detailed uh, investigation into this, and they will come up with what exactly went wrong. So they have admitted it, that that was an error from their part. That's
But
what.
do you think if the video hadn't surfaced, do you think they would have admitted a mistake, or they just would have kept up with denying that they did anything wrong?
Obviously, that's the clear part that I always side with. That is evidence. We always look for evidence. If there is a chance for something that can go wrong, of course, then comes the part of accountability. So even if you agree that there is an error from the part of the IDF or Israel or any their counterparts like the US or someone like that, um, can you count on the Hamas or the side other than IDF or Israel, even if they went wrong, ever admitting that they did something wrong and
Only
they
because evidence
taking
surfaced that
accountability?
contradicted their denials. So my question was, do you
Yeah,
think without do you think
but
they
in
would
the
have denied it?
past, but in the past, it was like that. There was some instances where some of the claims were there. Um, they were attacking some of the hospitals, then many other things, and we could see even Al Jazeera taking back their reports. Al Jazeera was the prime reporting centers for these news, and they were tracking back from those reports. So if you look at the history of tracking back or taking taking back their claims, and they were attributing wrong instances of attack and other things, who would score here? So for now, I would say okay, at least Israel went wrong here. If I agree to that, now you come up with the other side. Whenever they were found guilty of doing the crime, even we could see some of the
There were
instances where,
paramedics.
yeah. So why? Okay, then
Okay, so
there's another part from this.
why did the soldiers bury the bodies in the ambulances if they knew they didn't fuck up?
Of course, that's the thing that we are looking into, or that's what I find as a problem with that. That you try to hush up things when you go wrong. It's like a boast up attempt in fighting a terrorist or something that you always suspect. And there are past incidences where UN vehicles were used, ambulances were used to transport these terrorists. Would you deny that?
No, but that doesn't mean you get to like shoot them up and then bury the evidence.
Yeah. So in that case,
You,
if there
you're
goes something
imposing a
wrong,
what about
that's
fallacy.
not No, no, that I'm saying this because if there's something goes wrong, that doesn't mean that you can take back or you negate all other positive incidents. It's not that. That's not the right way. That's what I'm saying. One went wrong, okay, one went wrong. That's it. You have the
Okay.
evidence, okay, you have the evidence, and let them
Now,
complete the investigation.
do you think Israel's actually going to punish these soldiers, or they're going to get off with a slap on the wrist, if
Of
not
course,
any
they
punishment
will
at all?
if the investigation concludes that that was an error and that was a crime that should be considered as a war crime and they should be punished and that will be punished. And that's how we could see in the
Uh,
past as well.
I'm not going to hold my breath that these guys are going to get any meaningful punishment.
Yeah, in the past they have done that,
Await to
so
be
we can
I
expect
wait
it.
to be proven wrong,
Even
but I'm not going to hold my breath. So,
sorry, even in the past they have done the same thing. Like they have found some guilt, some idea of person is guilty of something done like this, and they have punished them. That's something that we can count about them.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
You
let them
sent
complete
me
the investigation.
Yeah, okay. You sent me the
Yeah.
article earlier about Qatar being named to the UN Women's Rights Commissions. That was rather ironic, don't you think? A little bit
Absolutely. Yeah.
too politically correct, maybe putting on this committee.
Um, yeah. On a face value, we can see that as a an irony or as a something that maybe the UN is not really they are not looking into the real issues, how the status of the women are existing right now in Arab countries, especially. So we can, on a first instance, we can think that way. But there's another part to this. You can just think that way also. That is, just imagine you are pressurizing the Arab countries to look outside their own religious rules and how they confine the women, their women, with their Islamic regime, Islamic rules and regulations, and to look for the modern values, which gives more freedom to women. So, isn't that giving them a chance to taste the freedom and such rules for these people to engage with such people around and to take lead in such things and giving them a chance? I think that's also a way of doing things. So in that way,
Well,
maybe in the first instance, though it looks ridiculous, giving the folks the the duty of looking at the after the chicken, maybe it could be seen that way also. But there's a another aspect to this way of doing things. What do you think?
I think, there's a lot of irony here, especially
Yeah.
this is reminiscent a few years ago, I think when Saudi was chair of the Human Rights Commission for like in their rotation. So, but I think that's the thing is these chairs rotate from country to country. So I guess Qatar just came up on the list. So, but
Mm.
it
Yeah,
still seems odd to put a
it's there.
country that with horrendous women's rights issues on a committee about women's rights. But as you say, maybe they'll bring something back from that committee and bring it back for their domestic policy. So that's a way I hadn't thought of looking at it. So it's a positive aspect. So
E-
it'd be
Yeah,
good to
even in
see.
the past, yeah, there was some other news which was like giving Iran a position in some position like this. I don't exactly remember, but it was something related to religious oppression and women's rights. So Iran was leading that, and we made a news out of that here. We discussed it here. So as you said, it could be their it rotates like that, and it was their time of doing things, and they just came part of that. Maybe that's the reason. But apart
Yeah.
from that, when you look at um, when the World Cup was given to Qatar and how they were doing all these things, that was also giving a chance for the people in the Middle East, not just Qatar, to
Well,
taste how all
as
these
I
are.
recall, though, at the Olympics, didn't they have like designated protest zones that were like 3 miles away from any Olympic venue, and you couldn't wear any pins or any
And
sort
no
of
beer.
symbol for any. Yeah.
Yeah. and no beer was allowed, and all these things were, and even some of the fugitive Dawa guys like Zakir Naik, who is a fugitive in India, he was invited as a guest in Qatar, and he was giving sermons along with the Olympics. So
Okay.
these were the most funniest things that was happening as part of the Olympics. Olympics or World Cup? Olympics it was, right?
Yeah, I think it was World Cup. Yeah, maybe. I can't remember. I don't watch
Yeah.
sports, so don't really care.
I forgot that. Yeah, maybe something related to sports. We are totally into atheism, so no sports and games.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a problem.
So have you been
So,
following the story in the UK about the former
mm,
Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, knew of rampant sexual abuse within the Church of England, and didn't do anything, basically just washed his hands of the whole thing. And have you been following that story at all?
no, not much.
Okay. So I guess he did an interview with BBC last week or some other news outlet. He basically admitted to knowing that he knew what was going on. So one, why hasn't the UK government pressed criminal charges? He knew what was going on under his watch and took no
Mm,
action to rectify the situation. So don't you think maybe there should be some justice here for the victims to see Welby brought up on charges?
absolutely. That wherever the victims are identified and the real problem is identified, there should be justice. And we always
Yeah,
see a lapse from the real authorities who are designated to do the things in the proper way, uh, taking things for granted, and especially when it comes to religion and some rules regarding that. That's a common thing, irrespective of the religion. But mostly, you can see that mostly coming up from the religion like Islam. But now this is another one. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And
Well,
yeah, so how about the news which came from Gaza itself about the Gazans protesting against Hamas, and one of Hamas soldier was caught and was beaten and killed by Gazans. Have you gone
no,
through
I
that?
didn't see. I didn't see it. When did that happen? Was it
Yes, that
recently or
happened
a big?
last week. Last week,
Okay.
the
Okay.
week
No, I
where
didn't
we
hear
were
about
absent. Yeah. So this was something that was revolting against the uh, Hamas leadership within Gaza, and people were chanting that "Get out, Hamas terrorists," and they were being called as terrorists
Oh,
by the Gazan people,
that's a good sign.
and and they were revolting against. And this shows one thing clearly, one thing, that is the control or the role of Hamas, or the power which they are employing upon the Gazans is totally weakened, and now the people are able to voice their frustration and their feelings,
Yeah.
and now they're coming up, and it's not just the protest and uh, fighting back. What Hamas did was they caught one of the protesters and he was killed, and he was publicly killed, and the message was pasted on him saying that whoever protests against us will taste the same. This was pasted upon. And days after that, we could see another instance where a Hamas soldier was caught, a terrorist was caught, and he was beaten by the Gazans, the own people, whom they were, the people all around the world were calling them as the freedom fighters. And that person was killed, beaten and killed. And that was in retaliation to the other. So just imagine violence and counter violence, and this is going hand in hand like this, and there's no end point for this within the people. So that's what I always say from the beginning. That is, without addressing the core issue, and without addressing or acknowledging the core issue, we won't be able to find a solution to this. So
Exactly. But the
the
core issues
protests
on
all
both
over the
sides.
world,
It's
both
not just
sides,
the
yeah.
core issue of the Gazans. There's issues on the Israeli side too that have to be addressed.
Right now we have both sides, but in the beginning, if you go back to the sites and all, so from where it starts from the anti-Semitism which emerges from Islam itself. That's what I'm saying. So that's how the Abraham Accords holds much importance in this, and how it is shaping the new peace movements and peace solutions over there. So I think we should call a spade at this moment at least. Of
Yeah,
course, there's two sides to this,
it's
but
but it's good to see the Gazans are at least starting to
that's a
revolt
good side.
against
Yeah,
Hamas. So,
yeah,
but
that's a
yeah,
good
I was
sign,
taking a
especially when the people are ignoring that.
yeah, I took a bit
The
of a
Hamas terrorists.
media mental health break last week, so I missed that story. So,
So within a
just sometimes
week,
you just
all these happen.
some days you just need 2 3 days off from looking at the news because it's just so existentially depressing. So yeah, took a bit of
Yeah,
a break last week. So
right.
okay,
Anyway, I think
any
things will be better very soon with
oh I
all
hope
these signals coming in from around the world.
yeah. I heard rumblings that Trump is getting pissed off with Netanyahu and that he's dealing directly with Hamas. So be interesting to see how that shakes out. So
Yeah, that was an
yeah,
issue almost maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, and then Netanyahu just ignored her. He just walked away like that, and he was not commenting over that. So that was that one way of dealing with that. So obviously there will be way of doing things, differences in way of doing things between the leaders, and Trump was doing it his own way, and that was not something that was liked by the Israeli leaders. So yeah, even that happened. But right now things are very different, and it's going on this way.
yeah. Again, it's kind of a wait and see. We got to wait. Sit back and let history unfold and how this is going to shake out. So, but
Yeah.
we shall
Okay.
see. Hey,
Yeah. That's it.
okay.
So we'll come
Thanks
with
everybody.
some more interesting ones next week.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody. Apologies for being off for so long, but couldn't be helped. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see everybody in the coming weeks. Take care. Good night.
Take care. Bye.